Hello everybody, welcome to another edition of Ask Andrea, and this is where I'm answering your questions live. People sent in questions onto my website, and on the sidebar, if you go to www.andreabeeman.com, there's a little Ask Andrea area. So all these questions came in over the past month, and plus I'll be taking live questions here as well. So let's hop right in. So here I have, the first question came in from Cristina, and she says, I want to know information about a liver cleanse. Swipe left. This thing is crazy. So the first question came in from Cristina. She says, I want information about a liver cleanse. And it's appropriate to do a liver cleanse every spring, and I highly suggest that people do it. So like people always say to me, like she wants to know information about a liver cleanse. There's many liver cleanses, like throughout the history of human beings, we have been doing some sort of liver cleansing in the spring every year. Like you look at any religious people, and in the spring they fast. They take animal products out. They don't eat wheat, right, in the springtime. They'll do 30 days of only eating at nighttime, or 6 o'clock, right? So there's all these different fasts that people do. And so for liver cleansing, I do recommend that it's done in the spring, first and foremost. Hi, Amy. That you do it in the spring. You can do it at any time of the year, but in the springtime specifically, you have the energy coming up from the earth, right? So underneath your feet, you're living on this planet, this ball that's rotating in the sky. And I'll get to your questions. I got to get to these questions first. This ball that's floating in the sky, right? And on the earth, there are all these energies. And in the springtime specifically, you could see it when you go into any park, anywhere. You see things shooting up. Right, so you see all the buds coming out, you see the plants coming up, everything's starting to sprout and grow. So there's an energy that comes up. So one of the reasons why it's great to do a liver cleanse in the spring is because as that energy rises, if you have any liver congestion, you're going to get pain, your inability to digest, allergies will pop up, the shoulders and the neck area, as well as headaches will come if there is liver congestion, which is, if you live in the world today, you can guarantee you got some liver congestion. We live in a toxic environment. My gosh. This is a little bright. Let me put that up like that. So, information about a liver cleanse, I actually covered that last month, Cristina. You can go onto my website, andreabeeman.com, and type in the words liver cleanse, and the webinar that I did on liver cleanse will come up. The class that I just did on liver cleanse will come up. All the blogs about liver cleanses will come up, and you can get all the information that you need, the herbs, the foods, and everything like that. Just type it in. Scalloped. Yeah, I'll talk about all that stuff. So you guys are putting in questions, but I'm getting to these questions first that came into my website. So the second question came in from Anne. And Ann says, hi Andrea, I'm fighting candida, rogue bacteria, and hypothyroid. Your books and videos have helped me tremendously already. Thank you. I've heard you say before that warm foods are great for healing the gut, bone broths, as well as to eat seasonally and locally. Now that it's getting warmer, I'm craving colder, lighter foods. I'm eating seasonally, but I thought I heard you say once that colder foods don't help heal the gut as well as warm. Is that right? What should I do more of, warm foods or seasonal? Always do seasonal for any condition. Whatever condition you have, just eat seasonally. That's where you start. And then from there, it's either cooked foods or cool foods or warm foods. So when you're healing the gut, like if somebody has an inability to digest food, malabsorption, bloating and distension, that can indicate a cold digestive fire. And if you have a cold digestive fire, you're not going to absorb the nutrients, right? So that's something to keep in mind. So when you're healing the gut, like bone broths are great because they contain collagen, they have liquid minerals, right? But if you are congested and you have trouble, like let's say your sinuses are congested or liver congestion, right? Bone broths aren't really so good. You'd be better off with something else that'll help to soothe the inflammation in the gut. Sea vegetables are wonderful, slippery elm, soups in general. but maybe not necessarily bone broth. So you have like everybody's going crazy on bone broths. So like, let's say you have a congested liver or your detoxification organs, like, you know, you have your kidneys, you have your large intestine, you have your liver, right? These are the major detoxification organs. Let's say that they're compromised in some way. So if you put all of that bone broth in that has to be broken down, all that collagen has to be broken down, that's actually not a good thing. Bone broths are wonderful for states of deficiency, right? When you want to build. But if you need to do a cleanse, right? Bone broths are actually not so good. So this is the season right now for cleansing, right? This is the springtime. It's perfect. Releasing from the body. It's not a time for building. So I had a client who was in a state of deficiency, adrenal fatigue, exhaustion, and osteoporosis. I put her on bone broths and put her on bone broths right through the summer, right? Because she has a condition. But in those bone broths, they're also seasonal. So seasonal vegetables, she took those broths, put them into a soup, you know, made them really delicious because Lord knows just bone broth can just taste like, you know, the feet of animals, right? You can just imagine it, right? Animal foot soup. Not so delicious. Always stay seasonal, but when you're healing a specific condition, that's when you want to have that leeway where you're, okay, wintertime, definitely more bone broths, summertime, fish broth, vegetable broth, unless you have a condition, right? A condition of deficiency, then you want to build, right? Okay, so Anne says, another question that came in, what are your thoughts on sparkling water? Does it hydrate as much as regular water? Some people say it's not good for the body. What are your thoughts? If you get swollen here under your eyes when you're drinking that sparkling water, then it's not for you. So sparkling water is, you know, it's fun, it's effervescent, it's delicious, right? There are some natural sparkling water springs, but the majority of the sparkling water, to get that water to sparkle, right, they have to, they hydrogenate it? I forget what they put into it. But to make it effervescent, to make it sparkle. And that's maybe not so good for you, right? So on a regular basis. So like I said, if you're swollen under the eyes here, or you're burping a lot after you have the sparkling water, then try just regular water with a little bit of lemon in it. Okay. Annie says, hi Andrea. I recently took Black Walnut Hull to rid my gut of rogue bacteria. I took it for a little over 2 weeks. It also helped get rid of the white patch on my tongue. Yay, she says. That's great. Yeah, it's black walnut is one of my favorite herbs for healing fungal infections, right? Or an overgrowth of fungus. So that's why, you know, the white patch is this fungus that's in the body. And we all have it, you know, it's nothing to be ashamed of. You got a little fungus? It's not so bad. So she says, I want to be sure that I'm taking the appropriate measures to keep my bacteria in balance. I'm trying to eat probiotic-rich food, but I'm not sure how much I should eat every day. What do you suggest to someone who's rebuilding their good bacteria after a long time of having an imbalance? Additionally, what do you recommend to someone who is trying to maintain a healthy balance? Would it be different? Generally, you know, if you're trying to rebuild your bacteria in your gut, you want to have some type of probiotic on a daily basis. So like I prefer food probiotics. Some people take those little probiotic pills. I think that they cause an imbalance and will actually contribute to SIBO if they're taking too much. Oh, thanks, Esty. And I see all your stuff coming in. I'll get to that. I'll bounce back and forth. You know, I would suggest a little bit on a daily basis, right? But then also you need to make sure that you have the mucilage in your gut to hold on to the bacteria, right? You want to make sure that those little, the little tiny pinholes that are in your digestive system are getting filled with the good bacteria. So they have to be caught in some way. So traditionally, like yogurt, kefir, because it's you know, mucusy, right? So you actually want mucus in your intestines. That's a place that you want mucus, because you know the little villi are going to grab onto all the things, and you don't want too much, of course. You don't want to be you know, verklempt and just a big booger, which sometimes happens when people have an overabundance of mucus, which usually comes from inflammation, right? Because your body will create mucus in response to inflammation because it acts like almost like a calmer, calms down all the inflammation. So I would suggest daily if you're rebuilding your gut bacteria. So, oh, Stephanie says, good to know about the bubbly water. I drink it once in a while since I can't have my bubbly wine while I'm pregnant. Okay, so let me take a question from here, and then I'll bounce back to these questions. So, hi, Debbie. Mina says, I do what I do for Epstein Barr virus. I dated this guy last 2 years and felt sick ever since and was just told I have this. Yeah, Epstein Barr, 90% of the population has it. I have it. Yeah, I just came out of the closet. So Epstein Barr, like any virus, when you get a virus, you're going to have it for the rest of your life. That's the way that it works, generally speaking. But you can keep it in check, right? So Epstein Barr used to be called the sleeping virus because when you got it, you'd be exhausted, wiped out, right? So one of my favorites, some of my favorite things, actually there's a couple for Epstein Barr. Licorice root, love it. Cat's claw, which is very strong. I don't recommend that for everybody, and especially not for anybody that's pregnant, because it does help to not only to keep the virus in check, but cat's claw also helps to eradicate or parasites, right? So unfortunately, little babies are considered parasites in the body, and you don't want to get rid of them until they're actually expelled on their own. Sorry, all the preggers out there. Yeah, start with licorice root. One of my favorites for keeping that EBV viral load in check. And of course, lemon balm, as long as you don't have hypothyroid, because the lemon balm is also, it's an antiviral. It's part of the mint family. You probably have it growing in your backyard if you have a backyard. Okay, so another question came in here from Angie, and Angie says, I was diagnosed with hypothyroid, and I'm currently 2 months pregnant. Do you know of any healing medicinal herbs I can take during my pregnancy that are safe? Thank you. Yeah, generally, you know, like the nourishing and building herbs, because if you're in a hypothyroid state, your thyroid is slow. And a lot of times that happens when you're pregnant as the baby takes all of the nutrients, right? So the baby's taking all your essential fatty acids and all your deep nutrition, and this is naturally going to slow the body down, right? So what you want to do is, this is the time for bone stocks, right? You're preggers, throw some bone stocks into your diet. Medicinal herbs, you know, you want to keep that baby where it is. You don't want it to, you know, come out of there earlier than it's supposed to. So like classic uterine toner, something like red raspberry leaf, that's probably safe after the first trimester. During the first trimester, don't really do too much. Just have some building foods. You want to build up your system. So a lot of times the nausea that women experience when they're pregnant is because their body is depleted, as well as their hormones are changing. But their body is becoming depleted, right? So there's this almost like an adrenal fatigue that sets in. So you want to build the body. You don't want to eat double. I remember I was growing up in the 70s. They're like, you got to eat for two. No, you don't eat for two. You eat for one, but you eat highly nutritious foods. That's the way that it works. So bone stocks, it's one of those internal builders, rich in minerals, great for pregnancy, great for the pregnant mom. So that's what I would recommend. Okay, so Ellie says, hi Andrea, I hope this note finds you happy and healthy. I love your show. My show is really old. You must be. Are you in this country? In America, they stopped airing that, you know, about 10 years ago. I love your show, and you're such an inspiration. My question is, I have a friend whose son was just diagnosed with Crohn's. He's 14 years old. We need help learning how to cook for him. Can you help us? Thank you, and have a pleasant day. Okay, so Crohn's, this is one of those diseases where it's a wasting disease, right? So the intestines aren't functioning properly. There's a lot of inflammation happening in there. You want to build this little person's body up. You want to bring down that inflammation. You want to make sure you're nourishing deeply into the intestines. So this is where you're going to put in, again, right, because we need to build this little system up. This is where bone stocks are going to come in handy. This is where all of the fermented vegetables are going to come in handy. Make sure that they're, this little guy, you know, like you want to make sure that he's not harboring a little worm or something like that. You know, like we all have them, parasites. So a lot of times with Crohn's or with any, intestinal distress, you want to make sure that there's no other there's going to be a lot of bacteria in there as well as other stuff, other unsavory stuff. So maybe with this Crohn's, like the gal who did the little Black Walnut Hull, you may want to try with this 14-year-old, maybe actually Oregon grapefruit. Let's just go right there. Oregon grapefruit or golden seal may be too strong for a 14-year-old. But follow the instructions. Go to your local health food store. Put them on it for about 14 days. And then incorporate all the bone stocks and all that stuff. And see if it starts to help. Now, he may get a little bit of intestinal distress when he takes the Oregon grape initially. As it cleans up that area. You could also try a little barberry. Or get with an herbalist, right? An herbalist or a natural health practitioner in your area. Because when you're dealing with a young kid, 14 years old, you have to really support this building of the little body, right? This little 14-year-old is in the building stage of the human body, so he has to get his digestive system functioning well. Has to, 100%. Because otherwise he's going to grow up and he's going to hit his 20s and he's going to be in a state of deficiency, and that's going to affect his 30s and 40s, because you need to be fully built by the time you're about 38 years old. I'm going to tell you that right now, right? You're going to stop the building process or between 38 to 42. Your building process is naturally going to stop and your breakdown process is going to start. And you don't want that to happen early, right? So you want to give this young kid everything that he needs. Okay. So Jovanna says, hello, Andrea. I have a TSH 432. She has thyroid stuff going on. I can see that I will be dependent on this medication for the rest of my life. It's not necessarily true, Jovanna. So I'm looking for the healthier solution. I'm using reverse osmosis water, as you mentioned in your last live class. Actually, I don't reverse osmosis water. I'm more of a, if you want to use that, you can. Spring water from an underground spring is the best, but we don't all have access to that. So then you want to get your water filtered, especially if you have chlorine and fluoride in your water, and then add minerals back in. Unfortunately, it's not the way that it's intended, right? We're intended to drink the water and then, have it nourish us with the minerals and all that. But unfortunately, between the chlorine and the fluoride, it's a thyroid disruptor. So for you have to filter your water. She says, my hair and eyebrows started thinning because of that. Now I'm like an Alice in Wonderland, confused if it's from the demineralized water or the thyroid issue or the medication. Yeah, when you have thyroid trouble, your eyebrows will start thinning like here, right on the edge here, and your hair will fall out, but it's not necessarily due to thyroid disease. Usually when the hair starts to fall out from the eyebrows and from the head when you have a thyroid condition is because of adrenal insufficiency. So you have to actually support your adrenals. And, I've had lots of clients that have gotten off their medications. You don't have to be on them for the rest of your life. What the thyroid medications do is they speed up the thyroid, right? So if you're exhausted in the state of a hypothyroid, right, your body's saying, okay, I'm tired, I'm not getting the nutrients that I need, I'm exhausted. And then we go, okay, speed this person up. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen, right? You speed yourself up, now you're going into your deep reserves, you're going into your bone structure. Why do you think the bones are going to start to break down, right? So a lot of times people with hypothyroid also have higher rates of osteoporosis. So you got to actually slow the process down. Don't speed up. If you're naturally slowing down, slow down, relax, chill out, swing in a hammock, drink some soup, right? All the stuff that we're just not allowed to do in real life today. Okay, so it is a long question, but don't worry, I'm okay with long questions. And you're already on your healing journey. Just keep doing the things that you can do. Go onto my website, put into the search box hypothyroid. All of the information about thyroid disease will pop up. Just start reading through that stuff. Or get my book. I always recommend my book. It's a good one. Okay. So Sheila says, hi, Andrea. I recently took your liver health class and I loved it. Woohoo! Yes, Sheila. That was liver cleanse class. She says, one of the things you mentioned about liver problems was fatty lumps called lipomas. Do you have any experience and success in dealing with this? I seem to be getting more and more, and the doctors say it's hereditary, and I've been having them removed. If you have any ways to deal with the condition, how do I go about finding out more? Well, you have to first look at your diet, right? Why aren't the fats being broken down? What's happening in the lymphatic system? You may want to do some of my favorite lymph movers and lymph clearers, right, to get everything moving in the system. Burdock root, right? You could have it as food, you could have it as tea, but start to have it. It should start to help some of that stuff. And let me get to another question here. Whitney says, hi Andrea, what are your thoughts on taking supplements, vitamins, and herbal supplements? Well, my thoughts are that we should be getting everything from our food, right? So here we are on the planet, this amazing Eden, right? That, oh my gosh, there's plants, there's fruits, there's vegetables, there's animals, there's herbs, there's everything here on the planet. So all of the other creatures on the planet are provided for, right? They're not suffering from the deficiencies that we're suffering from. You know, take a look at nature. You don't have the lions and tigers and bears running around going, oh, I don't know what the hell to eat around here. There's nothing to eat for us. What are we supposed to do? Where are we supposed to get our minerals from? They seem to be functioning pretty well. So one of the things that I recommend the most is that you get back to nature. What is provided for naturally in your environment? Go to your local farmer's market, see what the farmers are bringing in. Take an herb class, take a foraging class so you could see, like I know that this thing's growing in Central Park, you know, like if things were to really hit the roof, or, you know, I didn't want to, you know, if the whole world would have just, you know, something horrible would have happened. I know that there's food in Central Park. There's burdock root, there's clover, there's chives, there's so much stuff in there. So, you know, find out what's growing in your area, so that you could start to use that stuff, right? So the earth is going to provide for you. You're not just here on the planet and left hanging high and dry, right? There's lots of stuff for you. So like my thoughts on taking supplements and vitamins, I think that this is a modern phenomenon. I think that it's good in the short term because, you know, there's a possibility you have a deficiency. Most people have deficiencies, but it's because they're eating crap. You know, they're eating everything that's packaged and, you know, highly refined and all that stuff, and they're missing all the good stuff. So take it in the short term and then get off, because even with supplements and even with herbs and all the tinctures and all that stuff, you have to give your body a break. You just can't keep pounding and pounding and pounding and pounding, right? You got to give your body a break. Okay, so this question came in from Kranie. I have hypothyroidism for 13 years, and I've been on Synthroid with the doses increased and decreased on and off as per my blood results. I'm still constantly walking around like a zombie. I still have 30 to 40 pounds to lose. Also, I'm constipated most of the time. I'm in the process of reading your Happy Healthy Thyroid Book. Oh, as well as taking your Nourishing Thyroid class. Great! So you're on the road to recovery already. You're on the road to recovery. And we have a coaching call next week, so I'm going to bring all of this to the coaching call, and we'll talk about it there, okay? Kranie, because then I can give you a more in-depth answer. She says, P.S. thanks for everything you taught me. And I'll keep, you know, like you're in one of my programs. That means you have a lifetime of learning. Okay, Ellie says, I hope this note finds you happy and healthy. I love your show. Oh, no, I got to that one already. Let me go down. Thomas says, how do I get off my thyroid meds? I was diagnosed in 2003 with hyperthyroid, but today, with the help of radiation pill, which is killing my thyroid, my dosage is up to 137. Okay, so if you took the RAI, that means that it killed your thyroid, so you can't get off your thyroid meds. You stay on them, and you just nourish your liver, because your liver has to process all of that synthetic hormone. So you can't actually, I wouldn't suggest you get off your meds. I would suggest you do everything that you can to support your body now that you've had the RAI, and I talk about that also on my website. Denice says, hi Andrea, I'm looking to find sources of what is good and what to avoid when pregnant. Wow, there's lots of preggers. We got quite a few preggers here on this call today. Congratulations, you're bringing in new people, new human beings into the world, the next generation. So one of my favorite books for pregnancy is Real Food for Mother and Baby by Mina Plank. It's a good one. You know, like in general, what to avoid for pregnancy, just, you know, you want to build your body. You want to build your system up. when you're pregnant, right? Because a lot of women will get a postpartum depression, which they don't call postpartum depression anymore. Now they're calling it hypothyroid, right? Because the body has been depleted of nutrients and it's exhausted, right? And they're like, you need thyroid medication. We used to, in the 70s and the 80s, they called it postpartum depression, right? When the mother would give birth and she'd be like, in the bed, unable to do anything, right? It's the same thing. It's the same thing. So you need to build the body up, need to rest as much as possible, as well as exercise. So what to avoid during pregnancy? Avoid mercury, high mercury fish. Include good quality fats. You need lots of fats. You're building an endocrine system, right? So you need fat for you to absorb A, D, and E, and K. So eggs with the yolks, butter. Go butter crazy when you're pregnant. Just butter it up. Butter up everything. And don't worry, it's not going to make you fat. Okay. So Sue says, do you have any suggestions on how to treat bartonella and candida? My daughter has both, and we're waiting for co-infection blood test results. She has been suffering for a year. So I'm sorry to hear that she's suffering for a year. That stinks. For the candida, I would highly recommend the Black Walnut Hull for the Walnut Hull. For the bartonella, you gotta work on supporting the immune system, because these are the infections. So she probably has Lyme, a little bit of Lyme going on. So she also might have EBV. She might have a couple other viruses in there. So you want to bring down her viral loads and increase her immunity at the same time. Okay, let me see what you got here. Vera says, I have thyroid nodules, but labs are optimal. What can I do? Well, there's a growth. When you have a nodule, it's a growth, right? So you want to bring down those growths. So sometimes the thyroid nodules come from a lack of iodine, and sometimes they come from too much iodine. So you got to figure out where it's coming from. Heather says, is there hope to heal a scalloped and fissured tongue? Yes. So a scalloped tongue, let me see, so I'll tell you what a scallop is. It comes like if you stick out your tongue later and you go into the mirror, a scalloped tongue is on the side of the tongue, you'll have these little scalloping, exactly what she says. So the fissures are the little indents and holes and all the little, looks like a construction site in some people, right? So the scalloping is showing that there's a spleen chi deficiency, meaning a weakness in the muscular system inside your body, because the spleen is, right, when the spleen is weak, right, this is where you're digesting your food, the tongue will expand. So spleen, stomach, pancreas, this organ system is responsible for the muscles, right, the muscles in the body, and your tongue is a muscle. So when that muscle expands and starts to go flaccid, right, your tongue shows that it's now sitting in the grooves of your teeth, and that's where the scalloping comes from, this expanded tongue, right? So when that happens, the digestive system is probably cold, especially if you have white on the tongue. The digestive system is cold. I would get off any cold food, salads, smoothies, right, when you have that expanded tongue. And you have to strengthen the digestive system as a whole. It has to really be strong to tighten that back up again. You want to be able to absorb so that your muscles become stronger. So it just so happens I'm teaching a digestive health class on Wednesday, a cooking class for digestive health. We're going to cover like the mucilaginous foods to put in, the toning herbs to put in to help tighten up that system, how to digest better, reduce the GERD and the acid reflux and all that stuff. We're going to cover a lot of stuff. So you may want to get in on that class, Heather, and look at your tongue before, and then in about a month, look at your tongue again once you start to incorporate some of the information. Okay. Esty says, what herbs are best for balancing female or male hormones, and how would you take them as a treatment? This is a much bigger question than I can actually answer, right? Because, why are the hormones out of balance? We need to look, are the hormones out of balance? And Esty, go back to the liver health class, the liver health cooking class, as well as the liver health webinar. Because why are the hormones out of balance? Are you not getting enough exercise, right? If you're not getting enough exercise, your estrogen and your male hormones are going to be out of balance, right? The female hormone and the male hormone are going to be out of balance. you know, you have, there's both expansive and contractive, So the male hormones are the active, right? And the female hormones are the more passive, receptive kind of stuff, right? So you have to say what's going on. Is something in the food, something in the exercise? Am I getting enough sleep? Am I highly stressed? What's going on? And then you have to look at the health of the liver. Whenever there's a hormone imbalance, you have to look at the health of the liver, because the liver is breaking down the hormones, right? Once the hormones are used, they've been put into the system, the liver has to break them down and put them out through the detoxification system. And if that doesn't happen, you're going to have an increase, or you won't be discharging properly, right? So you'll have an abundance of one and not enough of another. So it's actually a very, very big question. So Hooj Jett says, I've been diagnosed with hyperthyroid last November, and I've been recovering quite quickly up until February, when the blood test said that my T4 and my T3 improved. However, my TSH is still not improving. At that time, I decided not to take medication and to try to heal the thyroid naturally. It's now 2017, but I feel like my thyroid is not improving because I feel tired easily recently and can't sleep well at night. Besides, I'm still recovering with a cough. Takes quite a while to heal. I'm not sure if the cause of the thyroid. I would like to heal thyroid naturally and receive some advice from you. What are the types of food I should avoid? Okay, I'm going to give you, let's see. I'm going to let you, okay, this is what I want you to do, Hooj. Pick up Happy Healthy Thyroid, right? So it'll give you all that you need, right? Because you're not sleeping well at night. So you have to rebalance the circadian rhythms. You've got to, you know, get sunshine in the morning into your eyes, to your pineal gland. Turn off the computers at night. Because if you're not sleeping, you're not going to heal anything. That's the way that it works. So when you sleep, your body goes into recovery and rejuvenation, as well as there's a cleansing process that naturally happens when you sleep. So the first thing, like we'll talk about the T4, the T3, the TSH, but if you're not sleeping, nothing matters. So you've got to get to sleep. Anybody who's suffering with any illness at any time, sleep is imperative. Number one priority. Take some tea at night, passion flower, chamomile. Get out in the daytime and get sunshine in your eyes, which is not a common occurrence anymore for human beings, right? They get up in the morning, they go into the office, they stay in the office all day long, and then they come out after the sun has gone down. It's the craziest thing we've set up. I don't know. We're creating a society filled with robots. Like only robots could live here. I'm telling you right now. Okay. So Deanna says, I listened to you on a talk show on YouTube. I really like your understanding and supporting for people to heal themselves. I've been trying to conceive a second child for 3 years now, and what you said about a deep depletion after one child totally makes sense. If you have any more information on hypothyroid and trying to conceive, I would love to be directed. The last time I checked 2 months ago, she brought her thyroid levels down. However, I've still been unable to conceive. Okay. So it made sense to you, right? So intuitively, I want you to follow that line of thinking. You had one baby, right? A depletion that happened in your system, right? The baby won't come if there's not enough nutrition and the body can't do it. So, you know, I'll recommend Nina Planck's Real Food for Mother and Baby. There's a lot of great books out there. But start to really build up your system. This is where you want the bone stocks, you want the good quality fats. Don't be afraid of saturated fat. So many people are afraid of saturated fat. But we need the saturated fats for A, D, E, and K, right? So don't be afraid of that stuff. Put it in, nourish yourself, and relax. So if you're not relaxed, the baby won't come either, right? You have to relax your system. The baby wants a warm, relaxed environment. So also you want to make sure that you don't have a cold digestive fire. That means you can eat salads, but don't eat them all the time, which is sometimes what women will do, especially when, you know, like they think they need to lose weight or whatever. Salad for lunch, salad for dinner, salad, right? All these cold salads can cool the digestive fire. And when that happens, you won't absorb as much, right? So have your vegetables, soups, stocks, stir fries, right? Have salads, of course. This is the season for salads, right? Right now it's May 25th, right? It's a season for salads. Don't have them all the time, right? You want to build the system up, so you need to have the food broken down so you can absorb it really well. Okay, So let me come here. Oh, Chanel says, I need help with persistent heartburn. Even meds don't help, and they, of course, have a negative side effect. Okay, persistent heartburn. Is your, do you have enough bile, right? If you don't have enough bile, the food is going to sit in your stomach for a longer period of time. If you don't have enough pancreatic enzymes, that, you know, like the food is, when it moves from the stomach into the small intestine, it's not going to be processed properly. You're going to have a backup, right? So you got to make sure, with a lot of times with, and again, I have a digestive health cooking class coming up. It's coming up on Wednesday. Get your butt in there. If you're suffering from chronic heartburn, something's happening. Is this valve, right? Is this valve from the stomach to back up, right? Is it weak? Did something happen? Is that valve weak? Is your muscle system inside the body weak? Are you eating out of season? Are you stressed out when you're eating? Because then, of course, it's going to be a lot of acid coming up as well. You need to be in parasympathetic nervous system to digest food. And if you're not, it's going to sit there for a longer period of time. It's going to ferment where it's not supposed to, and you're going to have more acid, right? The acid's going to sit there. You know that your food is only squirted into the small intestine a teaspoon at a time, right? So make sure that you're not overeating, you're relaxed when you're eating. I would suggest chamomile and rose tea to bring down that inflammation, stimulate the bile, because a lot of people will just eat. They just eat. And you can't. You got to digest tea, you got to chew your food, you got to mix it with enzymes. Otherwise, it's going to sit for a longer period of times, and it's not going to be good. So I've had clients that have heartburn for years, and I tell them, listen, just sit down and relax and breathe, like take 10 breaths before eating and then chew. And usually in a week, they have no more heartburn, right? But there are always the cases that the heartburn is still there, and it could be coming from chocolate. It could be coming from relaxants that relax the valve, right? And it opens up, and the acid comes back up. So you need exercise, right? Exercise will help to strengthen all of those valves in the digestive system. Believe it or not, it strengthens peristalsis. You have this muscle system inside the intestine called peristalsis. And when you walk, exercise, right? Not so much running, but when you walk, it naturally increases that muscle contraction inside the intestines. So you want to make sure that, of course, you're doing all the stuff that you can. What you doing? Deborah says, I received notice of a webinar on thyroid today, and I wondered why someone else is doing it instead of you. Well, I don't own the web. Somebody else is bound to teach something out there. But thanks for checking in. Okay. Let's see. Iris says, with Hashimoto's disease, got a nodule, 1.7 centimeters. Doctors say to do a biopsy. What would your advice is that I should do? Well, my first advice is to pick up this book, Happy Healthy Thyroid. But the other is to, they could do a biopsy, sure. But hold off on any removing of anything, right? Because sometimes they'll do they'll say, we need to take a little piece of your thyroid off, or we'll need to take half your thyroid off. So just give your body the stuff that it needs, and then go back in 3 months and check it again, because most nodules are non-cancerous on the thyroid, right? So I think it's like 95%, if you look up the stats, are non-cancerous. So it may just be there and not bothering anybody. So I would just be patient. Oh, hi, Francis. Adelina says, my blood work came back normal, nodule biopsy, inconclusive, but no matter how much I try, I gain weight. Okay, so go to my website, because if you keep gaining weight, you have to look at, is your lymphatic system congested? Is your liver congested? Right? Because you should be eating food, breaking down the food, utilizing the nutrients, and excreting the waste. That's the way the body works. It's brilliantly designed. The human body is perfect, right? So if something in that process is not functioning, you just keep gaining weight. Why are you gaining weight? Are you stressed out when you're eating? Are you shoveling food in? Are you not excreting on a daily basis? Why are you building? Are you sensitive, emotional? A lot of emotional people, when they're too sensitive to what's going on in the world, they just eat, emotional eating. So exercise. Are you exercising? Switching it up, like walking one day, yoga, exercise, running, weight training, right? A nice varied routine. Okay. SD says, I have a little candida going on. What herbs should I treat with it? SD, my favorite for candida is black walnut. So you can find that on my website when you go into the search bar, www.andreabeeman.com. You put the little search bar, you put in candida, and the candida information will pop up for you. Megan says, if you have a tree nut allergy, what can you take instead of black walnut hull? Well, it's my favorite one for, it depends on what you have. Like, do you have candida? So a lot of people think that they have a candida overgrowth, but they don't actually. It's like, it was like the blame of everything for the past 15 years, right? Oh, it's candida. Oh, this is candida. Oh, that's candida. We all have candida in our body. It naturally lives in the large intestine. And when those valves, right, the ileocecal valve that separates the large intestine from the small intestine, when that valve becomes weak, then the candida, which is the fungus that naturally lives in your large intestine, when that little valve gets weak, the fungus goes right up into the small intestine, and this is where the trouble happens, right? So why are the valves weak? Do you really have candida? Do you have a tongue that's coated with white fuzz? Are you getting yeast infections? Are you getting fungal infections externally on the body, right? White patches that pop up? Or is it just the buzz phrase, the catchphrase, right? I got candida. Candida is the problem of everything. I got gas. It's candida. I got bloating. It's candida, right? Candida's been blamed for everything. We need candida. We just need it to go back into the large intestine where it can do its job. So first you got to figure out if you really do have candida. Esty says, congratulations on your newest herbalist degree. Thank you. Adelina says, blood work is normal. Biopsy is inconclusive, but gained 5 pounds overnight. Well, 5 pounds overnight is a lot of weight, because by the end of the week, you'd be 35 pounds heavier. By the end of the year, you'd be like 1,000 pounds. So that's, that's a lot of weight. Let me see that. Okay. So, yeah, like I said, I covered that stuff. Why are you gaining the weight? Why isn't the body excreting? And it's 1:41, so I got about 4 more minutes. Sheena says, tarot reader should be my mother. Get her gallbladder removed. Oh, it has stones. Oh, Sheena Agaro, tarot reader. So you're a tarot reader. Should my mother get her gallbladder removed? It has stones. Not necessarily. You know, like, that's such a modern thing to do. You have the stones, you get it removed. No, we've had stones, like, that accumulate in the body for how many years now? Thousands of years. So there are ways that you could relieve the gallstones. So go to my website, go to the liver cleanse, even take the liver cleanse class, the cooking class that I did last month, because I talk about how to get rid of stones, right? It's, it's a process. It's not going to happen overnight. And of course, if they're big, gigantic stones, you can't actually get rid of them because they'll block up the bile ducts. But all the little stones can really come out, like, oh my gosh, celandine. That helps to relax the bile ducts and release the stones. So, but you got to get with a good herbalist. I happen to know one myself, Andrea Beeman. Deborah says, I take a probiotic every day. I see nothing wrong with them. I take a very good one, and lots of yogurt has sugar. Okay, so, yeah, if you find nothing wrong with the probiotic, then keep taking them. Like what I've seen with people that take those probiotic capsules for long periods of time, they get, some of them, an inability to stop the thoughts. So, like, in Chinese medicine, your small intestine and your mind are directly connected. You have small intestine, heart, and mind. This line is directly connected. So if the small intestine gets overrun with bacteria, right? So some of those 18 billion probiotics and all that stuff, those, all that stuff that we have on the market, there'll be an inability to shut off the mind because there's so much bacteria in the gut, right? We need bacteria. It helps us process the food. But too much bacteria is also not a good thing. So now we have this rash of SIBO on the planet, right? Small intestinal bacteria overgrowth. So this is another thing to be conscious of. Like, what's going on? That we now have this overgrowth of bacteria. Are we getting too much bacteria in the form of everybody's high dosing with probiotics? So just where you're at, if you're feeling good and you're not overthinking things and your mind can help you go to sleep, you're not having trouble, right? Then don't worry about it. Mina says, wow and yup. Oh, you're welcome, Francis. Paula says, no lemon balm when hypo. Why? Oh, no, you can take lemon balm with hypo, but lemon balm in the long term, right? Because it's better for hyper, right? When you're hyperthyroid, because the lemon balm can inhibit the conversion of T4 to T3. So it's in the mint family. It's wonderful for calming the nervous system. You can certainly take it. Like if you are hypothyroid and you are having anxiety and heart palpitations, because you can get it both with hyper and hypo, then yeah, I recommend lemon balm. As well as when you have any of the herpes viruses, EBV, herpes 1, herpes 2, herpes 3, you know, there's like 9 or 11 of them or something like that. Lemon balm is a wonderful antiviral. But if you're wiped out and fatigued and exhausted and you're not converting T4 to T3, then lemon balm is not the right one. You can have it occasionally, but not on a daily basis. So like, I wouldn't suggest it if you're hypo and sluggish and slow. I wouldn't suggest it every day. Certainly not. There's other things that you can take. Donna says you never get boring, quite knowledgeable. Oh, thank you, Donna. Big kisses to you and Anthony and the family. One of these days, I'm going to come down to Florida, knocking on your door. Come on, let's go. We'll go out and have some fun. Allison says, hi, Andrea, you're awesome. I love your laugh. Oh, thank you, Allison. I'm sending you some love right back. I'm feeling the love on this thread. Nancy says, is beet kvass good for you? What are your thoughts? Yeah, it's another one of those fermented drinks, and it's been around for a long time, beet kvass. You know, you're talking the Russians, you know, they swear by it. And beets, in general, beets are natural blood builders. So if you're in a state of blood deficiency, right, you're getting short periods for the girls. Sorry, guys, if it gross you out with that word, period. Oh, they bleed. Oh, the women. Oh, they bleed every month. Right? So if you're in a state of blood deficiency, anemia, or anything like that, right? Beets and beet kvass are wonderful. So doctrine of signatures, right? You cut open a beet. Wow, that is some red right there. But it's also just a natural blood builder. It's been used for a long time. So I think it's a good choice. Susan says, I've recently broke out with a bad case of rosacea, right? So this is red around the face. I'm in my early 50s and wondering what may be the root cause and what are some holistic measures I can take to heal this. That's great, and it's perfect, actually. So you are, Susan, right now, you're in your 50s, so you're in that phase of moving from fertility to wise sage, right? Some people call it menopause. But it's not. Right? It's actually you're just, you know, in the process of slowing or stopping the menstrual cycle. So you're moving out of the fertile zone, the baby making zone, and you're moving into the wise sage zone, right? Where the tribe comes to you for answers because you've been here for a while, right? So when this transition happens, the liver can release a lot of heat. Right? Because your hormones are changing once again, just like when you're a teenager, right? Remember that, you know, our hormones are changing and boom, our whole face broke out with like pimples and, you know, we look horrible little funny looking teenagers and anger coming up, rah, 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 I hate my parents, blah, right? That's all liver energy, at least according to Chinese medicine. So the liver is responsible for that. So as you go through menopause, that means stopping the cycle, then the hormones are changing again. This puts a lot of stress on the liver, and guess what happens? Same thing. Except now we have this liver heat rising, comes up to the face. It'll also cause heart palpitations in some people, but it'll come up to the face, this liver heat coming up. It can affect the eyes as well, contribute to headaches, as well as anger. So if you find that while this rosacea is here, you're also having little bouts of anger. I hate that little son of a gun down the road, Sally. Boy, did she piss me off. You know what? Whatever's going on, I'm going to, you know, this is what this person did to me, blah, blah, blah. You know, and people are always like, oh, she's just going through that menopause thing. No, it's actually a real physical thing that happens in the body. Your liver is potentially getting congested, and it's releasing this heat, this burst of heat up to the top. So you want to cool that liver fire. Motherwort, my favorite for cooling liver fire. As well as, you know, there are some herbs that you could take, stronger herbs like barberry that helps to cool the liver fire that presents to the face. It's also good for the rogue bacteria in the intestines, but you're okay. That will cool, that rosacea will cool. It's just literally heat coming up. And for those of you that want to learn more about like that kind of stuff, how the organs relate to, you know, what each of the personalities of the organs and how they present in the body, you can take my new healers class. It's coming up next month, and we have our early bird discount that's available till Wednesday. email me, info@andreabeeman.com, and I'll give you the discount code. Okay, because we cover all of the organs and the systems and the herbs that are associated to the system and the food that supports each system. It's a lot of fun, that class. How do you, assess someone's condition by looking at their face? Samantha says, do you have a favorite brand of probiotic? Yeah, food. Sauerkraut, kimchi, yogurt, kefir. Those are my favorite brands of probiotic. I like to eat food. I'm not much of a pill popper. In my teenage years, I certainly was a pill popper. But not so much now. Once in a while I take, maybe like my husband just started taking a little fish oil, so once in a while I'll pop in and I'll be like, maybe this is good for me. Although, I eat fish, so I actually feel like I'm better off that way. Yeah, so for me, the probiotic is the food, right? Melissa says, Andrea, your necklace, clear quartz? And is it JOG? Please tell me where you got it. What's JOG? This is this necklace is it's an obsidian, a green obsidian. A green obsidian stone from, I want to say Costa Rica or somewhere where John of God lives. I don't know. It's one of those places. I got it at I got it from this gal, I think Gail Thackeray. She's got a website with all these crystals, and it's a lot of fun. And this is a healing stone, right? A healing stone. So I got it. I have my brother-in-law got into a serious accident, so I'm wearing this whenever I go down and visit him. I just bring the stone into the room and I wear it when I'm there. Hopefully it'll bring some healing energy onto his body. Okay, Melissa Fabreo, how are we doing on time? 1:51. You guys are sucking the life out of me. I gotta eat lunch. All right, I'm gonna take a couple more. Melissa says, 62-year-old client on meds since 15, Hashi. She's doing everything right, not budging on the scale. What's your top suggestion, as I imagine there are plenty? Again, yay, get Happy Healthy Thyroid. But look on my website. Put in, a little heart just came up. Go onto my website, in the little search bar, look up Hashimoto. There's a lot that you can do, right? So the first thing with any autoimmune condition, because Hashimoto's, Graves, lupus, diabetes 2, no, actually diabetes 1 is autoimmune. When you look at all of the autoimmune conditions, you've got to go into the digestive system, right? Because over 70% of your immune system lives in the digestive system. And if your immune system is not functioning well, you've got to first go into the gut and say, what's going on in here, right? Because the human body does not attack the body for no reason. There has to be a reason. The human body is really, really smart. It was brilliantly designed by whatever created the entire universe and the earth and the plants and the trees, right? That's a brilliant design. That's some crazy crap right there, right? When you think about who did that design. I would suggest healing the gut. You got to heal the gut. There are lots of things that you could do to bring down that inflammation in the gut. Also, with Hashimoto's, why are the antibodies coming up and attacking? Is there a virus in the system, like EBV, Epstein Barr? They could attach to your spleen, to your liver, to your nervous system, to your enteric nervous system. It can attach, those little viruses can live and attach anywhere to the thyroid gland. So you want to make sure that you're getting that viral load down, if that is the case. And heal that digestive system. Oh, Melissa says the book is superb. Yeah, I'm glad you like it. Now you got to use the information. Thanks, Deborah. Rebounding. What kind of rebounder? Rebounding. Oh, like what kind of rebounder? I don't know. Like when I need to rebound, like this is what I do. I do like jumping jacks. Right? That's my rebounding. I do jumping jacks. Sometimes I'll run one time a week, right? That's a rebound. That's moving my whole lymphatic system. It's moving my whole body around. I love jumping jacks. Like Jack LaLanne, who, what did he live to be, like 575 years old, this guy? Jack LaLanne said 100 jumping jacks a day. It'll keep you alive for the rest of your life. And if you think about it, my gosh, 100 jumping jacks. You're going to deposit minerals into your bones. It's going to keep your bone structure strong. You're going to be moving your lymphatic system. You're both upper and lower at the same time, right? So that's going to be clearing out the debris. You're going to be Also helping with the peristalsis, right? The action of the intestines, because you're moving, you're in movement. So my favorite rebounder is jumping jacks. I'm gonna tell you, that's the way it goes. Even when I take a long ride, so like I've been having to go down to Maryland every weekend. So like it's a 4-hour ride. So halfway through, when I stop at the local whatever it is, that little, I get out of the car and do 100 jumping jacks. I've been sitting for 2 hours, so I get out and do it. And sometimes my husband's like, "Man, people are gonna think you're so weird," and I'm like, who cares? I'm getting my jumping jacks in, right? I don't want to be stagnant in the car for 4 hours. My gosh. Okay, it's 1:54, but I digress. Let's keep moving. Oh, hello? Okay, and this is going to be the last couple of questions. Brenna says, I'm asking you about spondylitis. Is that the one in the, let me just double check on this real quick. Is that the, and let me make sure that I got all of these questions that came in through my website. Yeah, okay, I got all of those. Okay, so is that on the spine, the spondylitis, where the calcification of the spine? Yes, it is lower back and spine, ankylosing spondylitis, right? So, like why you're not absorbing, right? What's happening? It's, like here it says it's an inflammatory arthritis, right? So what's happening that there's an inflammatory arthritis? What's happening in your system? Do you need to cool your system down? Are you not absorbing nutrients the right way? So like some of my favorite things for arthritis, I mean, there's so many things that you could do to nourish the bones on a deep level. So with this, is there an accumulation of calcium that is causing this to happen? So like if there's an accumulation of calcium, are you not getting the fats that you need to absorb the vitamin D so that you can absorb the calcium, right? So we have to look at that. You have to look at all of it, all the way back, right? Not just, okay, here's this problem here. But you have to look all the way back and say, what's happening? Am I not getting the nutrients that I need to absorb the nutrients to help my bones? So look on my website for arthritis information. I have a whole thing on bone health. Okay, so Maggie says, Andrea, my husband has poor TSH test and cholesterol has increased. They want to bump up his synthroid and switch to egg whites. I know this is not the answer. Where can I start? Well, you're a smarty. He's lucky that he has you. He's so lucky that he has you to take care of him, right? His cholesterol is actually going up because he needs to absorb more, right? There's inflammation in there and he needs to absorb. So that's actually a good thing, right? The liver is naturally producing more cholesterol so that you can make the hormones to create the TSH, to create the thyroid hormone. Sorry, not the TSH. The thyroid hormone that he needs. So when the cholesterol goes up, there's a reason for that. Like a large majority of the adrenal hormones, as well as the sex hormones, are fat soluble. So if he's not getting good quality fats or enough of, if he's not absorbing those fats, like let's say there's something happening with the liver and the gallbladder where he's not absorbing those fats, the cholesterol is going to keep going up. The TSH is going to keep coming back, that you don't have enough thyroid hormone. So they can keep increasing the synthroid, but it's not actually going to get to the root cause of the problem. So you got to look at that stuff. Okay, this will be the last question because it's 1:57. Olivia says, oh, hi, Olivia. Any ideas on foods to aid removal of calcified growth in the breast? Not yet cancer, but a precursor. Yes, the first thing that I want to recommend is that if you are taking, or this person that has the calcified growths in the breast, if they are taking any calcium supplementation or a multivitamin that has calcium in it, stop it immediately. Immediately. So one of the things that they told people back in the 80s, the 1980s, was, hey, increase your calcium for your bone health, right? Increase your calcium. Yeah. So 30 years later, we know that increasing of the calcium, and you can't actually absorb that amount of calcium, contributes to calcification of the soft tissue in the breast, in the arteries, leads to higher rates of heart attack, brain calcification. There's so many things that can become calcified, right? Because if you can't utilize that amount of calcium, it's got to go somewhere. It's going to accumulate in the system. So that's the first thing. The second thing is you want to soften that. So like I would use a softener. A good one that I'm thinking of, like a nice softener. You could actually go to any Whole Foods and get like Herb Farm. You know, Herb Farm, they're all the way in there. They have these little tinctures, and they have one for kidney support. And that kidney support does have some stuff that will help move the calcium and move, like Joe Pyeweed. That's a classic for helping to move any little stones, usually kidney stones, but you could have other calcifications in the body as well. So I think we're going to stop there because it's 1:59 and I got to eat lunch. Sorry, you guys make me really hungry. So I want to thank you all for coming out for this little Ask Andrea. And for those of you that didn't get your questions answered here, go to my website, AndreaBeeman.com. On the sidebar is Ask Andrea. So those are the questions that I get to first, all the Ask Andrea questions that come in. And then, of course, I get to you guys. I don't like to leave you hanging, but there's only so much time. My cooking class, for those of you that are interested in digestive health, we have a cooking class for digestive health on Wednesday. And for those of you that want to learn more about understanding the body on a deeper level, my New Healers Master Coaching Program, I highly recommend it. It's awesome. Okay, have a great weekend. Sending you guys a whole lot of love, healing love, good vibes, and all that good stuff. And I'll see you next time. Bye.